Hey guys, welcome back. I am doing a little continuation from the previous video. This is going to be the advanced old school rendering in 3ds Max, and as such I'm going to move a little bit faster, probably talk a little bit less. So first things first, I'm going to merge in some standard materials here. So just materials that I drop for things for speed purposes. Probably do this with a script, but at one point this was my max start file. For those of you that know what that is or don't know what it is, max start. If you save in the default scenes folder, if you save a max start file, it'll load up that max file. And but it doesn't save. Doesn't save the material letters. So I dropped these in there, and this was my max start file. So I dropped these off of in the beginning, or I just delete them out if I didn't need them. But I tend to color code for my organization purposes and rendering and things like that. So these are helpful for me. These are my markers, and then like my low poly material, checker material, my sub-object material. And actually that may be, we can see, that may be the approach I want to take. We'll see. I don't know what that one is. And these were, like I said, these are standard materials. These are kind of like my modeling materials. And I have them. I don't need that clear one. That one was clear. So I'm done with all these. First things first. I think the route I want to take with this is actually not to color each one of these individually with separate materials like this. That would be one way to go about it. Another way, you tend to be locked into that if you do it that way. Another way is to actually use these markers to magic wand out in Photoshop, and then you can, you have a little more freedom to material design, I guess. So I think that's what we're gonna do, because we're not doing like 20 shots of this thing. So I'm just gonna go with a regular old material here, standard material, 50, 30. I don't think it's enough. I'm gonna 25. Bump that. Probably take this to 60. Sweet. And let's start dropping lights in here. I'm going to go for something a little bit more moody, if I didn't say that already. So I'm going to light in here to my shadow zones. Go ahead and pull up Light Lister. So I think I want something from the back. Like I want a light back here, casting some decent shadow over this whole piece. Something like that. And then maybe I throw a second one. Sorry. Refresh. I'm going to change my shadows while I'm here. We're sticking to ray trace. It's fine. It's tempting to use area shadows, but actually, let's do that. I'm not sure if that came with mental ray or not, but I don't really care. We'll keep our settings low for now while I'm setting this up. I don't care. Well, maybe that's where I want it. Something back here. Just that highlight on that 45 planar surface there. Let's get our show save frames. Start framing this thing. One thing I like to do, and this is I think it's in the object properties by default. I'm blind to it because I never come in here. Anyways, you guys can search for it. It's an extents, include and exclude. And basically what that does is when I hit frame, zoom extents, it'll actually zoom extents the lights as well. But I'm gonna select those lights and exclude them so that when I zoom extents, it's just the model. Random little thing. I'm going to do a small render for testing. Super small. Render that. Can already see that my background color needs to be changed. That was 8 on the keyboard. It's a default max I left because I use everything like TGB and to the left and like nothing on the other side of the keyboard. So that was one that I left. I have I don't know, it's my magic number. I like 32, like a 32 gray. It's my favorite gray. It's totally my favorite gray is a 32 gray. Cool. I'm not hating that. So I'll go ahead and camera from view, and I'm probably going to change my focal length here, 35 millimeter. And I'm going to bring up a second. Let's go local, push in a little bit. Something like that. Maybe a little more top. A little closer. See how that feels full screen. I don't want to get too close. Okay. Drop a skylight in here. Move that out of my way. Drop a third light in here, and this is going to be kind of like my fill light, so I'm going to drop this down probably 0.25. And like I said, I want something a little moodier, so I'm probably going to pull my skylight down. I don't want so much ambient lighting, maybe like a 0.7. And let's go ahead and test render that real quick. Actually, I'm going to escape. I'm going to turn shadows. Oh, they're not on. They're not on. It's fine. Okay, render. These should be quick, so I'm not going to pause them. If I start getting a little lengthier, I'll start pausing. I'm just kind of looking for highlights right now, seeing if ow, that was my hip. Seeing if I like where these highlights are landing. And I do, for the most part, I'm going to shift some stuff around, I think, though. And I'm probably going to drop. We want our fill light to have shadows. Make sure that has shadows. I'm just going to shift drag this fill light behind and raise it up a little bit, and I'm just going to turn this way up. Something like that, just because I want to see where I'm placing these highlights. Maybe get something going right across the back. Low. I'm totally lighting to this one view. It's okay. Just gonna see what that looks like. Render that. I think that fill light's too much. Drop it down. 0.15. And I'm gonna turn. Come on. What happened? Sorry. That's not what I meant to do. 0.15. Get out of that. Hit 9. I'm gonna turn shadows on. Turn light tracer on. Get some global illumination in here. F9. That is because the rim light doesn't have shadows. So it does have shadows on. Got some stuff showing through back here. Probably because there's a hole in the back of the model. I'm going to shift it. And maybe that's okay. Presentation is important for your portfolio and even progress on your work in progress threads. I like to render out my whips. Separates you from everybody else, or the losers that are just print screening their stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And sometimes I do print screen in Max, but you know, in the viewport, with all of its fancy real-time nitro settings, it can look pretty good. Like it can look really good actually. Oh, my hip popped a little while ago. I'm at a stand-up desk here. It's my home office. Undoing a good 15 years of sitting at a computer, anyways. Starting to like where it's heading. I threw in another light. Going light crazy over here. I like standing at a desk because while you're doing renders, you can just dance. Nobody on the videos know. All right, good enough. I'm probably going to. I'm going to drop down. I'm actually going to drop down my skylight. I don't want to noodle this thing too much. I'll drop down my skylight just a little bit and then pull my Omni light over my fill light. Sorry, pull my fill light that's down here up a little bit. 0.2. I want those highlights, and there's a little trick we can do actually, because like I said, I want those highlights, but I kind of like where my lighting's sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate. That was not duplicate. New hotkeys. I'm going to duplicate this light, and I'm going to go down to these super non-realistic features down here. I'm going to turn off diffuse, and I'm going to leave specular on, and that should just boost my highlights in that area. Cheating. Cheating. Let's see where I'm at here. There's some nasty shadows in there, but from this guy. Or not. Part of the problem. That's what I'm seeing. Cool. My tracer. I'll go down to these guys. And now pull them back. Bring them like 2 and 2. Now what we want to do, I'm going to use my cheat still. This is in the self-illumination. I'm not going to put it in there. I'm actually going to put it, it's old. Didn't know what I was doing back then. Paste. Let's go back. Get that original color. Copy. Paste. White's cool. Hey look, I already have a curve on it. For now. Whatever. Good enough. Render. I think this is pretty much reaching its last few, or last test render. Ooh, careful. Brighten it up quite a bit. Moving some of those lights around. Take it back down. 0.5. Have it locked on the camera over here still. It's good. Alright, I think that's pretty much where I want it. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could put another fill light in the front, get some highlights on some of these pieces in the front. Something like that. Get these up. This thing's floating in space. I have highlights from all over the place. For this one, it's the specular light. Come on. Usually when you, unless it's only one light. No, there's two lights there. Oh, there it goes. That's the one I want. No, I'm at 0.05. There we go. Calling it good. It's a good test. I got a good idea of where I want everything. So I'm gonna go. This was kind of my main light. I was calling it in this other one. Here, these two. So Omni 3 and Omni 1. I'm going to change the area shadows. And I'm going to bump the quality on those. Oh, I want it to take too long of a render. It's already like 2 in the morning. Oh. 5 and 10. Oh yeah, that's right. Nope. fine. So we're going to bump these up. 250. And I want to check this out at a slightly larger render. 10. Oh, that was a 10. Like I said, it's 2 in the morning. 1,000. See where this gets us. Sort of make my final decisions on this base render here. We're going to do some multi-pass compositing, so this is kind of like my main render. My base render. We're going to do an AO as well to overlay on top, get some of that finer detail. Some of those highlights are blowing my eyes out. It's good though. I don't think everything has to be realistic these days. There's a with all the PBR stuff coming out and renderers are getting better and everything. It's like there are these sort of mentalities about some people where it's like, well, you know, we got to move on. You know, these tools are old, and I think there was a certain style about them that I kind of liked, so I still kind of stick to them. I kind of like, default scanline has a certain look about it, and I don't mind using it. These are, I mean, really, these are just clay renders. Clay renders are just a model, or just a modeler's way of showing off his model, his forms. It doesn't necessarily have to look like it's a physical object sitting on a table. I think it's good to kind of develop your rendering style, something that, I don't know, something that, a style that you lean on when your portfolio looks consistent. Kind of, when people see it, that's totally his renders. I tend to go overboard on my highlights. Can't help it. I like it. There's some nasty shadows all over this one, but that's okay. It's sitting perfect. We'll roll with it. I'm actually going to fix those floaters. They're casting shadows. We don't want that. Gotta look like it's blending in, and we could totally go and paint that out in Photoshop, but I'm not going to. We're going to do it in here. It's just a simple right click. So, whoa. Boom. Properties. We don't want them to cast shadows, but they should receive shadows. Cool. Let's check back on that render. Fine. That highlight's really hot though. Those two are kind of a little more than I tend to like, but bumped my camera. I didn't lock it. .8 on that light, just to soften those highlights a little bit. Now we're going to talk about these render settings. We're going to go into the renderer. We're going to use the Catmull ROM render, and it's a 25 pixel filter with pronounced edge enhancement effects. And when you render it, you'll see a little. It's almost like it puts a little stroke around it, sharpens it. It's like a kernel effect on this. It's like a sharpening kernel effect kind of thing. Use Catmull ROM. We're gonna make this a nice, sexy render. And let's take it up. I hate that. Whoa, 1080. Kind of doing my last check on settings. I know my light tracer settings need to go up. I'm going to go 600 samples. Keep the bounces on 1. Spacing 8's good. I'm going to call that good. And I'm going to hit render. We're going to see where this takes us. I'm pretty sure it's our final render, but I'm gonna go with I'm feeling lucky. Hit render, and I'm gonna pause it. And we're back. There's some sample issues down here. I don't care. I really don't. This is just a tutorial. You're getting the idea. And what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm gonna save this out. And we're gonna advanced. Yes, that's how you spell it. And I'm gonna call this base render. We're gonna save it as Targa. We're gonna make sure that 32-bit because we want the alpha in that. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a. We're actually done with light tracer, so I can turn that off and go ahead and turn off my. Let's bring that light lister back up. We no longer need. Oh man, thinking hard. No longer need any of these. I'm going to turn those off, and I'm actually going to turn back on default lights. And what I'm going to do is render my AO. I left my skylight on. Grab all these guys, and I'm going to drop a new white material on this. I normally do my AO in mental ray, but like I said, we're going to do this old school. Old school, quote unquote. And so I'm making like a crappy light tracer AO here by dropping a white material on this. I'm going to put my background, I'm going to set to white also, and hit OK. And let's go into the light tracer settings here. That's fine. I'm going to bump that up to 2. And I'm going to hit render. Let's see where this gets us. Actually, let's do a test real quick. Render. Cancel. On our test, we don't need all of these. Come on. High quality. I'm going to disable some of this stuff real quick. And I'm going to render this. Let's see what this looks like. Basically, we're going to render two AOs. Oh, no. Stop. That's what I thought. All right, we're going to bump this up. You know, I think what happened, I might have rendered that last render without skylights on, so my skylight wasn't contributing other than like an ambient wash. It wasn't contributing shadows, but that's okay because we're actually rendering the AO pass. We would have ended up sort of doubling it up previously, but it worked out. You know, multi-pass compositing for the win. We're going to bump that up to 2. I'm just doubling my skylights because what I want. Alright, that's not doing it. Maybe I did turn it off. Nope. 0.5. We're going to set the multiplier on that skylight to 2 and render. What I'm basically looking is just to completely blow out this. Yeah, there we go. This skylight. And that'll give me my ambient occlusion. I'm probably going to drop this down a little bit. Like my multiplier, I'm going to drop it down a little bit more. I want a little bit of a wider AO, something like maybe 1.5. See what that comes out to be. And we're going to do 2 passes here. We're going to do 1 pass with no ground plane, and we're going to do another pass with a ground plane in it, so that we can kind of tweak our grounding shadows separately from our main AO shadows. And I kind of like where that is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do my high quality render here. Bump this back up 600. We'll go common, put our, hate that, 1080 lock. Catmull ROM, max 2.5 star. Active 600, bounces 1. Everything looks good. And I'm going to hit render. And I'm going to pause it. Alright, here's my render. Actually, it looks, I was surprised. It's been a while since I've done this, but it looks pretty good for a light tracer AO. Alright, I'm going to save this. We're going to go no, we don't need to do that. Just AO underscore 01 Targa. We'll go ahead and save the alpha with that. And I'm going to do a second render here. And I'm going to go into my side viewport here, and the plane is exactly where I want it. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, something like that. And apply that white material. And we'll re-render that. Go. And there it is. It ended up being a lot darker. On this one, that's okay. Not really worried about it. We can use our mask in Photoshop to fix that. Really all we were looking for is this ground shadow. And when I get there, I'll explain why I did it this way. Like I only did the ground plane on the AO. I mean, we could do a number of passes here, but I think this will probably be pretty good. I want to do one more. I'm deleting my lights. Good enough. Just clearing my workspace. I haven't even saved. What I want to do, I'm going to drop this multi-sub-object material on here. You can see there's already some stuff going on, but what I'm going to do is grab all this again, and I'm going to throw a material modifier on everything. I'm going to make those unique from each other. And what I can do is now I can go in here and start separating out some of these pieces I might want to. Oh, red eyes. Just giving everything kind of a unique color. Sure. And I may run out of colors, that's okay. Really, as long as there aren't similar colors touching each other, it's no big deal. Just want to be able to color the main, kind of the main pieces, or have some options. Don't think too hard about it, JJ. Can't be that color. Let's do. Nope. Green's fine. Alright, now I think there's enough separation. Maybe that one needs something different. Should be enough separation between everything. Looks good to me. And there's no lighting that we need in this, which is why I was deleting my lights, because we're just going to render a flat 100% self-illuminated material here. So we're just going to render a flat on a black background. Go here, black. We don't want our light tracer settings on. We don't need lights. No, we do want that. We'll go ahead and leave the Catmull ROM on just so that our anti-aliasing, like the edges, match our base render. And should be good to go. Let's render that. I want to make sure I saved this. I didn't. When I'm doing these single renders like this, I don't bother with doing an output. I just save directly from the view or the render window like this. Not a big deal, as long as you remember to save your stuff. Let's render though. Yeah, this one's fast. Alright. We're just going to call this ID. Targa, save. Don't need an alpha on that one. I'm going to hit OK. And I think we're done here. Max. I mean, we could do, if we really wanted to, you could do a couple of, I could show you real quick since we don't have any special settings on. This one's actually nah, I don't want to mess with it. You could render out, on a black material, you could render out some reflections and stuff like that, but it's not really worth it at this point. I think you're getting the idea of rendering out these multiple passes like this. It could be anything you want, honestly. I could have done the fall off separately. I could do a reflection pass separately. I could have put a black material on it and rendered all my highlights separately. But we're not going to take it that far. This is taking it, in my opinion, this is taking it far enough for this small thing. Sorry, it's something else I'm doing. So we're going to pull in our, it's on the desktop, advanced. We're going to grab these, open, go away. We're going to go base, grab our base render, grab our ID, we're going to paste it in there, grab our AO, our second one, paste it in there, grab this one, paste it in there. I'm going to close, open, and for this, let's go ahead and separate out our main model here. I'll drop a alpha on that. I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to invert that alpha, and that's my background. Just disable that. Now what I want to do, let's go ahead and get the shadows right. I'm not really naming anything for this. Oh, not overlay, multiply. I'm going to go ahead and drop this one on a multiply too. And now you can see that we have this ground shadow here. And I'm going to copy this up here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. There we go. And so I can pull down. I have this sort of ground shadow to help sort of ground my object. It looks super fake. It's not what I'm worried about here. I tend to not like these large directional shadows streaking across the floor. I think it's rather distracting. So I tend to render out just an AO contact shadow like this. And I'm probably going to add my bars in the way. What the hell? Here we go. Levels. We'll throw levels on this. Sorry. And now, oops, we can you could go in here and colorize these if you wanted to. That was weird. Photoshop's fooling me. Really all I want though out of this is to be able to go in and start kind of changing up the materials on these. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But on the same one, I want to add this guy, that guy. I'm holding shift here, adding to this selection. Maybe that one. And it leaves you with the option to kind of tweak this stuff on at the end game here. And I'm not stuck with anything that I didn't like. Let's get this out of the way. I'm just going to float it at the bottom. I can make decisions here on the fly. Maybe this guy. Go ahead and grab those. Oh, stop. Oh, I'm making a mess of this thing. It's great. That's fine. Let's deselect some of you. It's the space bar. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, or if that records. Oops. Oh, it's in this one, sorry. Yeah, something like that. So don't listen to me on the matching up the, when you do your when you do your ID pass like this, turn off Catmull ROM, because you can see I'm getting some of these different colors basically, and I could change the tolerance on that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Just letting you know, because you're getting some of these. Oops, wrong one. Getting some of these pixels left behind. Like that looks kind of gross. For next time, I could just go in here and do this. Actually, paint it up like that. And then go select, invert. Clean that up. Looks a little better. Okay, I'm gonna drop some of these tubes back here. Shut up. On this as well. Start off white, flip my color. And you could even colorize your AO if you wanted to. My paths aren't loaded. I mean, my actions aren't loaded. Okay, that's fine. I had a quick colors. That was probably do something subtle. Actually, I'm gonna make it blue. But you can see what I'm getting at. Actually, I'm gonna color one, just a couple last things here. I feel like that needs to be, I'm not liking that either. It's not bad. So what I did is I'm going to copy merge, and we're just going to wrap this piece up. I'm going to do a high pass on this guy. Let's do a 1.5 and bring that down to like 25%. I'm going to hide it because I'm going to copy merge again. And on this one, do another high pass, do it a little bit tighter, set that one to overlay. This is making our edges go crazy. So we just want to bring it down 30, 15. It kind of just works as a sharpen. And we're going to go ahead and throw a stroke. 2 pixels. And just to clean up some of our edges, I'm going to do a center. Where I'm placing the stroke, I'm going to set it to center and then do a 2-stroke on it. And you can see going from outside to center, that cleans up some of those edges. And I'm going to drop the opacity down just a little bit, or a lot of it. I'm going to blur this ground shadow. Gaussian blur. Let's duplicate it. And then blur. Now, clean up those edges with a gradient. Invert that. Sorry, wrong one. There we go. And I'm going to destructively collapse those together. Back to multiply. I'm just going to lower it a little bit. And then let's throw a noise on it to get rid of that stepping down at the bottom. So noise, add noise. So you get this nasty stepping that when I just throw a little bit of noise in there, smooths all of that out. Super nice. $1.5. I'll change this to color. I think our shadows are dark enough. pull that down. And the blue's not jiving with me anymore. Actually, I'm gonna turn it up. We'll go with the orange rust. Just a little bit. And lastly, I'm going to copy merge everything and paste it back up at the top. Well, not lastly, but second to lastly. Yeah. Let's hide that for a sec. I'm going to throw another levels on here. I'm going to throw that on my model here. Just kind of pull out some more of those whites. Something like that. And then this guy, we're going to crush really hard because we just want those highlights. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to set that to add. And then I'm going to do a Gaussian blur on that. Blur, Gaussian. Bring that down. We're going to do this a couple times. The first one's going to be really low. We'll do it again. We'll duplicate that. Bring it up, but level it. So these are a little bit smaller. Sorry, wrong way. White's kind of cool. Bring this up to more of a mid-gray. I don't know, I'm kind of liking that too, though. Bam. Some nastiness from that Catmull ROM filter. Gross. Be careful about that. Too lazy to fix it. But that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something.